You're listening to the Youth Critic podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG. If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network. And now for the podcast.
What line? What line?
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Okay.
Action.
What is line?
Take 13. Action.
I did not hit her. Okay. Line.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Youth Critic podcast. I am your host, Kale Smith. Joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Kate.
And today, we are going to be talking about The Disaster Artist.
Oh, boy.
So...
That sums it up. Oh, boy.
Yeah, it does. It definitely is not a disaster of a movie, unlike the movie unlike
based off of.
Yeah, the movie it's based off of. So,
The Room.
Yeah, The Room.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Oh my God.
For you listeners, just in case you don't know about The Room, check out our review that Kate and I and Jared call and Jordan Suggs. Jordan
Hood.
We call him Suggs here, or I do. And we did a review last week, and so if you want to know more about that movie, check out that review, and then actually check out The Room. It's not a great movie by any means, but I would say if you haven't seen that movie, you might want to watch, just not because you'll get lost watching it, but because you'll probably appreciate the extra perspective you will get. So, in other words, as I fix my mic stand, Kate, what did you think of The Disaster Artist?
It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's a really good comedy.
I have never heard Jordan laugh so hard in a movie theater before. Or just in general. Like, Jordan's one of those guys where...
So the head of KHZ is not a funny guy?
He's a funny guy, depending on the topic. But, like, he just doesn't laugh genuinely like I do if we're alone in the apartment watching a movie together.
Right, okay.
But, like, when we went to go see Disaster Artist last week, that was genuine. And I was just like, oh, damn, this is actually a really good movie. Because my boyfriend's actually laughing. And I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. The word on the street is correct. It is a strong dramedy / bromance /
buddy film.
Well, that's the bromance angle as well. But you're right. I mean, it's just it has a lot of really cool elements, and then of course you have Seth Rogen. You don't have Seth Rogen smoking bongs in this, but
Thank fucking God, he's actually an actor who actually is pretty good at what he does.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job as Stacy. I can't remember the last name, but it's the scriptee of the movie.
Yeah, he was. This is probably one of my favorite movies that he's in. Like in James Franco and Dave Franco and like the entire gang, because it's not all about pot.
Well, it's actually like a drama, or I don't want to say drama. It's actually
a dramedy.
It's where they have to actually. It's where they act. It's where, and I don't mean that they're not like Adam Sandlering in their other movies, but they have to. But this is a movie where it actually requires them to play real characters and give a performance. A performance. Well, they give a shit in other movies. In all their other work, I think. I think they give more of a shit in their movies than Adam Sandler has in some of his recent work.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. But it's just every time I watch a Seth Rogen movie, it's the same one. I've seen Sausage Party 4 times. I know.
I thought you hated that movie.
I do, but it's still hilarious.
Okay.
And I hate the movie, but it's like probably one of the worst great movies I've ever seen, and then I'm willing to watch over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And I only watch it with like my stoner friends.
So, The Disaster Artist. Here's the way I see the movie, and we'll kind of and. Kate's not the only person that's going to be on the show. I forgot to mention there's going to be a couple other people talking about it because everyone that has seen The Disaster Artist that wanted to be on the podcast is like everywhere. They're all...
It's finals week. We're almost done. Catch us a break.
Also, Star Wars is coming out, so
Yeah,
some
Star Wars
people
is out
are
tonight.
some people are like working and then going straight to Star Wars. It's just been a crazy week to get everyone on board. I was actually really lucky that I got Andy Comer to do the 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri episode.
How was that?
It's really good. I mean, it's good, but
I have family who lives there. That's why I was asking.
Okay, it's good. I don't know if it's completely Oscar worthy. If that makes sense.
I've been on that road.
I mean, Frances McDormand is wonderful as always, but this movie is good, just not
Great.
Like I think The Disaster Artist is better than this.
Do you think The Disaster Artist is going to get an Oscar nomination?
For James Franco, yes. For the movie, just depends on how many their film nominees we're getting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this year has been incredible. As Andy and I kind of talked about it on Tuesday's show, it's just been an incredibly packed Oscar season and just a great year for film. So it's been really, I mean, even though I know everyone loved Get Out, I'm still amazed that movie is getting Oscar buzz still because it came out in February. Because it's just, I mean, I completely understand and support that movie's Oscar run. It's just, it's amazing how well it's just been keeping up all fucking year.
Get Out was a really good movie. Like,
oh yeah, I know.
It made you think.
It made you think, and
it scared the living shit out of you.
It entertained you. It kind of, I mean, the Golden Globes really thought it was a funny movie. That's interesting. They nominated it as comedy.
No.
Oh yeah, it's
not a comedy though.
I know. That's why I kind of make the joke. Well, I'm glad the foreign press thought it was a funny movie.
Oh God. It's not a comedy. Like, Disaster Artist is a dramedy. Drama and a comedy.
Yeah, that makes more sense to put it in the comedy because there's actual jokes and there's actual like things about it that are funny.
Do you know what Tommy Wiseau, the guy who actually made The Room, do you know what he said about Disaster Artist?
He liked it.
He was 99.9% happy with it. And you know why that 1% was wrong? Or that 0.1? Lighting. At the very beginning of the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. That was the only thing.
I guess I don't remember that. I mean, but whatever. That's Tommy.
That was what James Franco was saying on a radio show.
But I think never mind. Anyway,
what?
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but some people said that what that 0.1% was different depending on when you were asking Tommy. Like his answer changes. So
Tommy is a strange man.
He's a very interesting fellow.
You still don't know how old he is.
Well,
where he's from.
Well, according to IMDb, he was born in 1955 in Poland.
But he's from New Orleans.
Yeah, he's from New Orleans, Louisiana.
I'm from the Bayou.
Yeah. I've never heard of a Cajun person talk like that.
I haven't either, and I was like, do what now?
But then again, I know plenty of people that live in the South that don't talk like Southerners.
Like me.
Yeah. So.
But I trained myself because I knew. Because I grew up with my grandmother, and she was like, do not talk like a Southern person. And even though she has a Southern twang, so I've tried really hard not to have my Southern twang come out, unless I'm mad. Mm-hmm. And then it comes out full on.
Right, yeah. So here's my thing about this movie is everyone talks about it's a very inspirational movie, and it is. I mean, the whole idea of the film is, and I think YouTuber I Am That Robbie, before the movie came out, he posted a video about why The Room is so special, and his kind of video kind of encapsulates why I think the Disaster Artist is so special. It's because it's about a person who, despite everything, he put the effort into making a movie.
Yeah.
He put the effort in, and as typical artists do when they put themselves out there, not always. Actually, most really good artists don't get laughed at.
How much is he worth?
Oh, I don't know. I can probably check, but
Like, is that like public information?
I think so.
I hope so. I want to know how much this man is worth.
But I'm trying, but that's kind of the idea of The Room. For me, however, I kind of see it as a critique of the torture artist, because
Torture artist.
the tortured artist.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Go ahead.
I mean, like, it's like what Jordan said when we were doing The Room. He produced something. No. That can't be. He's worth 5,000 or
500,000.
What? Oh, he probably blew it all on the Room and the other films that he made.
To be fair, we don't know where he gets his money from anyway.
We think he's a vampire.
Well, he even makes a joke in the movie, and Johnny might be a vampire. Who knows? Yeah, that might be. We might cut that out.
But what was I saying?
Oh, we were talking about the tortured artist.
Yeah.
It's a critique on the tortured artist.
But it's like what Jordan said, the head of KHC Network.
And productions.
He told me, he's like, at least he made something.
Yeah.
That's the goal of a producer, is to make something.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, there's other things that go into producing, but that is really the job of the producers, to make sure
It's like
it gets finished. Yeah, you make a movie and it gets finished. After that, you can kind of worry about how it gets distributed and whatnot. But he actually did it, and he found a way, in a weird way, to become profitable off of it. Like, he found, I think most people don't understand, because they hear that the movie only made back, I think it was like $1,900.
Yeah. 1987.
Okay. But the thing is, the reason why The Room is profitable is because, when theaters, include, like, independent theaters like the Plaza in Atlanta, we'll just use them for an example. When they,
Did they do a double feature?
I don't know if they did that, but I know when theaters kind of bring back movies to do screenings of, they have to kind of pay a fee to get, like, they have to pay a distribution fee or to get the movie back in the theater. So he's been kind of making money off of that fee for years.
Yeah, because everybody, like you said, I think last week, they treat this like Rocky Horror. They dress up as the characters.
Right.
And I think that's awesome, because Rocky Horror is my thing.
It's a cult, yeah, and it's a cult hit like Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
But I think, but yeah, but my kind of way of seeing the movie is and you'll hear this a couple more times, it is very much about the tortured artist, in that it's a critique of it, because especially the tortured artist who is in search of an identity, because Tommy throughout the film is a character, and we're just going off of the character that's in this movie. I don't know about this for Tommy, and I don't know if this is accurate to real life Tommy. But the character that's portrayed here, he's a man-child that is in search of, that wants to embody the American hero
Dream.
archetype.
like the dream.
Yeah. Well, that and the hero archetype, the not beautiful white hero, white knight hero,
Yeah.
and Bob Odenkirk makes his little cameo and says you're more the villain. You have the more malevolent tendencies, and you see that come through. And I think James Franco, because there's a scene in the movie where it's a sex scene in the movie, where they're filming the sex scene of the room, where it comes out that Tommy's kind of taking inspiration from artists that have tortured their cast and crew. And so I think through this, I think the subtext is Tommy Wiseau is trying really hard Tommy Wiseau wants to be so badly this hero that everyone looks up to, this incredible art filmmaker that everyone looks up to, and he's taking inspirations from the wrong people, from the people who have actually, because in our own stories we kind of talk in a not celebrative, but in a like praisal term, in that we have talked about these crazy stories that have happened on sets of Alfred Hitchcock movies or Stanley Kubrick's The Shining with Shelley Duvall. We've talked about how crazy those sets were and how like crazy their directors went, and we look at them and go, "Oh my god!" and just like fall in love with those stories like fantasies. Here we're seeing the fantasy brought of the room to life, the story of it, and it's depicted as this like it's kind of ugly. It's kind of ugly how Tommy kind of made this movie.
Yeah, it is. Like, I remember when we were watching the film and they were doing the sex scene, like there had comedic aspects to it, but you were just kind of like looking at this girl and she was like, no, I'm okay. I want to do this. It's going to be okay. And like she was trying to tell everybody to back off, and Tommy just starts like firing people. I think he fired the DP and a few other, or he almost fired a few others, and they just got in this full-blown argument, and the guy, or Greg, pulled him aside. He's like, dude, you can't do this bullshit. And I was just like, that took me aback, because you're looking at at the news, and you see all these actresses coming out with sexual harassment suits, and it's just kind of like, wow. That,
allegations, right? Yeah.
And you take a step back and you look at it.
Mm-hmm. I say allegations because for legal purposes, we have to say it's all allegations.
Sexual allegations. Sexual harassment allegations, my bad.
Yeah. Don't you're fine. Go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
But it's just, me as a woman, I would never let somebody do that to me on a set. Like, I would kill you before you do that.
Well, the movie doesn't specify this, or doesn't say this at all, but that was the only time she would actually do the sex scene again.
Yeah.
For the exception of Greg. Like, Greg, I don't know if they did any sex scenes before Greg or not, before Tommy with Greg, but the story was that was the last time she would do a sex scene with Tommy.
Yeah.
Because it was just that fucking insane.
I don't blame her, like, at all.
And awkward, I should say. Insane and awkward.
It's just...
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not, like, an allegation against him.
Well...
Honestly.
I think you get that. There probably is, or probably was...
At first, but
it probably got settled, like a lot of some of the Weinstein cases got settled.
Yeah.
In that, and I'm kind of doing that, weird. I'm kind of doing that weird, like, awkward face, like, or the awkward gesture,
like you just don't know.
Yeah.
You never know anymore when it comes to Hollywood. Hollywood's fucked up. Come to Atlanta. We treat you good with Southern hospitality.
Yes, or we try to.
We have no bullshit.
we in some areas we're completely nice.
Yeah.
I won't specify where, but we're completely nice in most areas. we do have a Southern hospitality. We do meet that part of the stereotype.
Yeah, that's full on truth. But like, just in general, like towards the end of the movie, the exact same thing happened when they showed it like months ago.
Months later?
Not months later.
Oh.
Like at the very end when they first premiered the film with James Franco as Tommy Wiseau, and like everybody was laughing and like chanting for him to come up and say something.
Right.
And then now when they first premiered it, like with just like a private audience,
Yeah.
James Franco was really hesitant. He's like, should I invite him up here? Should I not invite him onto the stage for a Q&A afterwards? Should we like just not say anything? And so they didn't invite him up there. And then it was like James Franco, Dave Franco, and Seth Rogen all on stage and like taking questions from the audience. And somebody from the audience comes up and says, "Hi, I was the original lawyer," or that lawyer, the guy we're playing the football and he falls on the ground.
Oh, the psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist, my bad. He's like, "I'm the psychiatrist who was in the movie." And Seth Rogen was like, "Hey, come on up. What's up, dude?" And then James saw Tommy and saw there was like a dark cloud over him. And everybody kind of, and like James was like, "Come on up here, Tommy. Come up here. Say hello." And like he was like not wanting to come up. And the entire crowd stood up and started chanting his name, just like at the end of the movie of Disaster Artist.
Yep.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And
History repeats itself, people.
or life imitates art.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of round this out, because we do have to get to the next person, it's gonna be like me, the journalist in Citizen. I'm like the journalist in Citizen Kane. I'm like interviewing everyone that saw a movie.
Yes.
But so, I thought everyone gave a really good performance, especially James Franco. It was a very nuanced performance, and I typically am 50-50 on James Franco.
James Franco actually played James Dean
In what movie?
in a TV movie.
I haven't seen that.
You need to. It's like the life and death of James Dean, and it's really good.
Okay.
But I love James Franco. I think he's an amazing actor. I just don't like Seth Rogen. And I think James Franco's little brother's hot.
But he is taken.
I know. I am too, so that's okay. I can look but not touch.
All right.
Sorry, Jordan.
Oh boy. Yeah, I thought this was really well done. The only thing, and I'll get to it, I'll explain a little bit more, but I thought how we transitioned from the making of the movie, or the production itself, to the premiere, I thought was just kind of clumsy.
Really?
That was just that's the one thing I would say.
Like James Franco or Tommy Wiseau? Like in the movie?
No, just how we transitioned from
Oh, okay.
the making of the movie, like the scene in, like from all the San Francisco stuff to the premiere in LA. Like, I just thought that was a little bit too
I think it
clumsy.
was just showing the strain between Greg and Tommy.
Oh, I know what all the purposes were. It's just how we got from, and it's a definite like second act ender. Like, that's definitely how you would want to end your second act. It's just, we went from, it's just, I don't know how to perfectly describe it, except it just felt a little clumsy, because I would have liked to have seen, I personally would have liked to have seen more. Like, there's a whole part of the book where they go to the flower shop, and it should have been in this movie, because it almost encapsulates Tommy in a nutshell.
Yeah. Wasn't like this Disaster Artist based off of Greg's book?
Greg, and I can't remember the other author's book. I'm sure I'll bring it up in the next segment, but yeah, it's based off of the book.
Okay, well, I'll have to take a look at it whenever I get the chance.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get think this is not a plug or ad, but I think I'm gonna finally get Audible just so I can read it.
Audible's awesome.
I know.
It's so much easier because I listen to Audible on my way to school and to home.
Mm-hmm.
I just listen to books and stuff.
Yep. This was not an ad, by the way. I'm just
No.
saying I want to read this book in some shape or way, and I might finally just get Audible for it. But thanks, Kate, for coming on. Do you have any more thoughts before we move on to the next thing?
It's a good movie, but watch The Room first. It will kill you on the inside out, but Disaster Artist will make it worth it.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about The Room is, or really the Disaster Artist, it brings you a whole new perspective. Like, I don't know if I can watch the Room the same way now that I've seen the Disaster Artist because I knew some of the production stories that went on in The Room, but as a reviewer, I felt, I'm interested in watching The Room again, but I don't know if it'll be the same way as I've been watching it for the last year or two.
It won't be. You know it won't be. But that's okay.
It's fine. So I would say watch it before and then maybe watch it after Disaster Artist.
Well, that's it for me.
Yep. Kate, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Do you have any where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Pinterest, pkate2016, Snapchat, pkate443, and then Twitter, I guess. I'm still working that one out. kparker26037.
K Parker?
Yeah, K Parker at 26037. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Kate, and we will see you in the not so distant future for our Christmas stuff and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
All right. See you guys in a little bit.